Hello kids, today we are going to review about adding and subtracting decimals. Okay, so we are going to talk about numbers that include decimals. So for example, usually your books, no, yung sa books ninyo, they already provide you the details. They already align the numbers according to how you're going to add them, which means all you have to do is just to add the numbers. So there is one specific rule when we add or subtract numbers with decimals or decimals nga. Okay. So number one rule, one and only rule rather, is to align the decimal points. Okay. So kasi nga sa books ninyo, usually for example, let's say number 1, nandyan na yan, 23.42 plus 16.56. So basically the book already provided you the necessary things, or the book did the work for you na. All you need to do here is just to add na lang. Diba? But I want you to get used to how to write the numbers. Kasi nga, number one rule is to align the decimal in one place. Which means, kung nilagay nyo ang decimal dyan, our decimal point for our answer should be aligned along with it as well. Okay. So, what am I trying to tell you? So, which means if I'm going to give you examples, I'm going to write it horizontally, not vertically like the given example sa taas. Horizontally, which means susulatin ko in that way. What do you mean, Teacher Mark? Okay. So, for example, we have 35.32 plus 63.81. So, which means in this case, you are going to rewrite it. Okay? You are going to rewrite these given numbers to a way you are going to add or subtract the given numbers. Normally, paano ba tayo nag-add? Of course, you have to write it this way now. 35.32 plus 63.81. Again, make sure that if you are going to write the numbers, their decimal points are aligned. So, sabi nyo, Teacher Mark, it doesn't make sense. Parang it's always naman ganun. No. Because there are points. Because I will be giving you examples such as, for example nga, let's say 39.3 plus 4.86. So, if you notice now, if you're going to write it like how you think you are going to write it, most of you might write it this way. Diba? So, normally, ina-align ninyo ang numbers. But if you notice, the decimals are not aligned. So, mali yan. That's basically wrong. Ang kailangan nyong gawin dito, 39.3. And tignan nyo yung decimal point ng 4.86. Decimal is here. Decimal should be there. Kasi nga align yan. And following up with the given number, which is 4.86. So from there, with the given operation, pwede na kayo mag-continue. Okay. Now you might ask me, Teacher Mark, but there is a certain space. Like for example, what are we going to do with this space? Okay. With given spaces, all you need to do is to fill them up with a 0. Fill them up with 0 instead. Okay? So, which means if you're going to encounter cases such as 42.3 plus 0.852. Okay, Teacher Mark, how am I supposed to write this? Yun na nga. Ang basis nyo are always the decimal points. Kung saan ang decimal points natin. So, for example, we have 42.3. So, taking the decimal point of the second given number, from there, susulatin nyo yung number nyo according to its decimal point. So, that's 0.852. 0.52. And if you notice, if i-align nga natin, kasi since how we started dealing with numbers, especially when you were younger, meron tayong guide or certain what we call the grid, di ba? Because in each grid, there should be a given value. So in this case, if you notice this area, missing values tayo. And we have to fill it up. And in this case, you can fill it up with 0. Okay? Para you can proceed with the basic operation now, which is in this case is addition. Then from here, pwede na kayo mag-add. Okay, 0 plus 2 is 2, 0 plus 5 is 5, 3 plus 8 is 11. You don't write 11 that way. Of course, not. Carry over, 1 plus 2 is 3, bring down 4. And of course, your decimal, align nga tayo parati. You align it always, which means your decimal place should be placed here. Okay? So, ganun lang dapat. Now, technically, ganun din if, teacher Mark, what if the missing value belongs to the number below? Okay lang, parehas lang. It's just the same thing. Let's say 26.5. Dagdag pa tayo. 26.53. Plus 10.2. Okay. Doing so, rewriting it, we have 26.53 plus. Again, following the decimal places, decimal ng 10.2 should be aligned as well with 26.53. So that's 10.2. And if you notice now, i-align natin yan just to clarify everything. This now has the missing value. Wala siyang value. So basically, all you have to do is just to fill it up with a 0. Okay? So ganun lang. Now, you might also ask me, Teacher Mark, what if we're going to experience yung, for example, let's say 35 plus 17.12. Now, Teacher Mark, what are we going to do? The 35 doesn't have a decimal. Okay, yes. By simply looking at the digit, wala. But every whole numbers, okay, always remember, every whole number have their decimal points after the given number. So, for example, ang 35, meron niyang decimal after that. Always, mga whole numbers na yan. Ang 10, meron niyang decimal dyan. Ang 100, it always has a decimal point. It's just that at some cases, we don't need to put them unless we need to deal with it as a decimal. Like, for example, in this case na nga, kung kailangan na natin siyang i-deal with as a decimal, we have to express it as a decimal instead, in which we add a 0.0. And depende na nga kung ilan ang missing values natin. So, even 1 million, may decimal yan after. Okay? So, again, every whole numbers have their decimal point after each number. Okay, erase ko na. So, which means, in this case, you now know that 35 is basically the same as 35.0. You can now align our decimal, which is for 17.12. Dyan din, dapat aligned. And all you have to do now is to align the number 17.12. And if you notice, may missing value na naman tayo, which is in this case is here. So, anong gagawin natin ngayon? Just add 0. Okay. Again, even if you're going to interchange, kahit mauna ang 17.12 plus 35, okay? What if, yun ang question nyo. Teacher Mark, what if it's like this? Parehas lang naman yan. As long as you follow the rule. 17.12 plus 35. So, same lang. 17.12 following the decimal point, which means ang decimal nyo for 35 should be placed here. And all you have to do is write 35 there. 0.0. And satisfied with everything. From there, you can proceed with the given operation, which is here is plus. Do the same thing for subtraction. The subtraction rules apply. Okay? Ganun lang yan. Carry over for addition and borrowing for subtraction if needed. Okay? So, that is basically how you add and subtract decimals. Ganun lang kadali. Okay? So, all you have to do now is to get a piece of paper. Susulatin nyo to. This is your part 1. I'll give you part 2 after this one. So, hold on to your paper lang. Just get a big paper instead. Ayun, intermediate paper. Okay? So, I'll give you certain numbers to answer. Okay, you may now copy this and answer. Take note lang ha, you have to answer this according to the rules. And you might ask me, Teacher Mark, I do not know how to do this. I do not know how to add and subtract. Naku, you are already in grade 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you should know how to do this already. But still, if you have any clarifications, nandiyan lang si Teacher Mark. Okay, so just message me on how to do this. Okay, so copy and answer lang. You have 8 numbers. So you can pause the video as you copy kasi I need to move along. Okay, so that's 4, 5, 6 now. Pause the video here, then copy. Then 7 and 8. Okay. Then again, you just need to follow the rules, align the decimals, apply the rules for adding and subtracting numbers. Okay. Again, fill up the missing values. Yung mga, for example, yung sa kanina nga. Okay. I hope you're done copying there. Yung mga ganito, you have to fill up the missing values for you to be able to solve, especially for subtraction. Kailangan talaga yan. Kasi if wala, nako, mahirapan kayo. Okay, so that's it for adding and subtracting with decimals. So, write nyo yan sa piece of paper, okay? That's it.